So let me start my next presentation. In this, I'm going to say not so much esoteric. So slowly, as we come to the later periods, the nature of things change. They become hopefully more easily understandable. Whereas in the previous ones, you needed some reflection, some pondering, and maybe you had to read more information had to be taken. Now, in the previous thing, I showed you the position of where Swarga was supposed to be. That's in Ambasya Pare Bhuvanasya Madhya. So, Bhuvanasya Madhya, what was the center of the Bhuvana? That is the question there. Now, I'm sure almost all of you would know about Dhruva and Meru. You would have heard of these things. So, that this legend of Dhruva, as it is quite well known. Roughly, I mean, if there is somebody who doesn't know, is there anyone who doesn't know the legend of Dhruva? Raise your hand. Oh, there is one person who doesn't know the legend of Dhruva. Two. Oh, Bhavana, you know, I'm sure about it. Don't say you don't know the legend of Dhruva. Anyway, it's very simple that there was a person by name Uttānapāda, a king by name Uttānapāda. Mentioning that name because yesterday we met Uttānapāda already. See, there is some connection, these things, could be. Then Uttānapāda had two wives, Suniti and Suruchi. Suniti was the senior, Suruchi was the younger, but dearer to the king. That is the situation. Each had two sons. The elder one had, the name was given as Dhruva, whereas the second one had the name as Uttama. That is the Purāṇic thing which comes. And when Dhruva went to the court of the king and he wanted to go and sit on the lap of the king, Uttama was already sitting there. So he also wanted to sit. But then the younger queen, Suruchi, obstructed, asked the Dhruva not to sit on the father's lap along with her son. It's a question of jealousy between the two wives, the first one and the second one. It's a common story. But then Dhruva, upset, goes to his mother. Mother Suniti is the senior one, mature, wise, and knowledgeable. She says, why are you worrying for a position on the lap of your father? You can get a better position than that. What was that? And she says that go and do tapas about Viṣṇu and you will get all of that. So on the way, he meets Narada, and Narada gives the Ashtakshari mantra. So he goes and prays with the Ashtakshari mantra, and finally Viṣṇu comes and he realizes Viṣṇu. And when Viṣṇu asks, you take any boon, he could not open his mouth because he can't do anything. Then Viṣṇu touches his, with his Śaṅkara, then he gets the Divya Jnana. Oh, that is the story it says. Then Viṣṇu says, you will get the best position in the world. You will be at the center of the Bhuvana. You become the pole star. And you remain as the pole star till the end of the world. That is at least what the Purāṇa says. And there is a turn here between the two Purāṇas, between the Brahmanda Purāṇa and the Viṣṇu Purāṇa. Brahmanda Purāṇa does not explain about all this story of the two queens quarreling and all that. In the Viṣṇu Purāṇa a little bit comes, but in the other Purāṇas this is extended, And in the evening stories which you listen in the temples, this becomes a 3-hour story as an entertainment which goes on. That's perfectly fine, perfectly fine. And there are beautiful drawings, paintings of Dhruva and all that is available. Now, the thing that we have to understand here is, what is that center of the earth where he stood? And in the Viṣṇu Purāṇa, there is a slight difference. Viṣṇu Purāṇa says, not only you, your mother would also be with you till the all through the time. For all time, she will also, Achandrarka, till the sun and moon are there, she would also be with you. This is the brief Purāṇic story, you know. So I hope now we have understood the stories. Now we will see the astronomical issue with this. Today, if you go and ask for where is Dhruva, and you take your children to the planetarium and see Dhruva, Dhruva is there. It is the pole star. But today's pole star was not the pole star what Dhruva of that period saw and he became. This is a very ticklish issue, very peculiar issue. How did it happen? How do you know? Where is the evidence for this? And why how do you know what the Purāṇa says is not today's Dhruva? Because the Purāṇas, as it is accepted, they were all written down somewhere in the Gupta period. Now, in the Gupta period, what happened? Was there a Dhruva to write this story? No. Modern astronomy says there was no pole star after 1500 BC till 1500 AD. Nearly 3000 years, there were no pole stars at all. Not a star at the pole, but a pole star. How do you get a pole star? Those questions we will see a little bit of that. But then how did the Purāṇa know? How did they describe? What is it they have described? And does it have a previous connection? Is there anything in the Vedas which says that? And if there was no, from modern astronomy, I know that there was no pole star, then what is all this story about? So this is a key issue for chronology, for finding out the dates. And more than some of the people who claim, I have heard politicians talking about Mahābhārata, anchor date and all of that. That seems to be not scientifically correct. If you want something, if you have an anchor, it has to be accepted by many people, which can be proved to be so, from modern astronomical theories also. Because we are moderns, we look at it from our angle, you know. So it has to be like that. Now, okay, where to start and all this? This I have already said. Yeah, let us look at, so I want to run a short video on this. I hope you are able to see that. We have to run it twice. What is being shown here, this is Earth, and this is the north axis which is playing upwards. This is the ecliptic. This is the zodiac. Look at only the north, the top point. Yesterday, M.D. Srinivas was mentioning about that, the polar circle. This is the polar circle. This is how the rotation of the Earth is taking place. Earth will have three kinds of motion. One is the diurnal rotation about its own axis. Then about sun, which takes about roughly 1 year. And there is one more which is called the precession. This precession cycle is this, because it's like a top. Slowly, it is not just like this, slowly it is moving like this. So for a person who is, we can run this once more. Now you can observe once again, for a person who is here, he looks at to the north and thinks whatever is the star there he can see as the pole star, because it will remain fixed. The other things are rotating. This point will be, the end of this point will be looking fixed. But of course, here it is moving very fast. But this time is 26,000 years. So it remains fixed for a very long time. This is called the precession. So it moves 1 degree per about 72 years or so. That is what it is. You can calculate and see. The same thing happens, that's what is shown here in plan. This is the Dhruva today. It is shown here. 2000 AD, this is the Dhruva, fixed pole star. Whereas, some time back, which it showed, there was another Dhruva which was shown here. And that circle is this, which has been plotted here. So the star on this circle is the polar circle. This is what would be called a circumpolar stars or so. This is the polar circle. A star on this can be a pole star. Now, what was the meaning of that? I will come to it in another figure. The one which was a pole star previously, that means the most recent one before this, was here called around 3000 BC. In modern astronomy, it is called Thuban or Alpha Draconis. And that constellation was this constellation, which looks like a serpent actually, or a dragon. This is what is called Śiśumāra in the Purāṇas, the Brahmanda Purāṇa, Viṣṇu Purāṇa also. And the Śiśumārasya pucce Dhruvastitaha is what it comes there. So this Śiśumāra with Chaturdasha Riksha, there are 14 stars it says. I will give you the text. It is there anyway in the notes. The 14 bright stars can be identified, and the 14th is the Dhruva, the last star which is there. If you think of this as an animal, this is the face, and then this is the tail, and it is here. This was possible only around 3000 BC. Take this as a hypothesis for the time being, that in the Purāṇas talk about this, but when the Purāṇa was written in 500 AD, there was nothing in this period, but still they know something. How did they happen? So there was some previous knowledge, like the 3339 in the Purāṇas, did it carry some past knowledge in the Brahmanda Purāṇa? And you know, Brahmanda Purāṇa, by the name itself, it indicates it has to explain the cosmos. The Brahmanda it has to explain. Oh, how did it explain that? It explains all of that with reference to Dhruva only. And that is what is called the Meru Dhruva astronomy. That means the north celestial pole of those days, Earth was supposed to be connected to that imaginarily through a Meru mountain or a Meru axis. Today, of course, there are so many new stories with Meru. We will not go into that. It was supposed to be something like that. And yesterday in the Aitareya Brahmana I mentioned, sun never sets or rises, but what is dark on this time becomes light on the other side kind of thing. That was again around the Meru. And when sun is supposed to do pradakshina of Meru, that Meru was this, that was Earth connected nearly with this star. So this you please bear in mind, and we will question what is the evidence for this. Is there anything older than this statement where it is available? It is there in the Taittirīya Āraṇyaka. Taittirīya Āraṇyaka belongs to the Krishna Yajurveda, and In the Krishna Yajurveda, there is a very important mantra which is repeated South India very commonly, in almost all temples. It is not so much in the north, but in the south only. Because the Taittiriyans, they migrated from the north and came to south for whatever reason. That we will not go into that. But there are issues with the, if you look into the tradition of the Taitiriyas, they themselves say part of this is from the Katha. So we have adopted into our Shaka the first Prapataka and all that. So it has definitely come from some past thing of the other branches or of the Yajurveda when they were all together in Kurukshetra or whatever you imagine a period. At that time, they were all together. So this mantra.
Sorry, sir. One question. What is the difference between the Meru, which we talk about the Kailash?
No, Kailasa is different, Meru is different. Kailas, it doesn't come up at all in the Vedas. Let us not mix it up. It is going to be in the Himalayas, whereas the Meru is not that. It is not a physical mountain. It is a theoretical thing, at least here. Later on, people might have given 100 things to that. That is a different matter. We will not go into that. It is not Kailasa. So don't mistake me for that. Because Viṣṇu is here in this Śiśumāra. He is the Viṣṇu Hridayam. Now, what is that mantra is what I am showing here. It says Bhuv Prapadye, Bhuvah Prapadye, etc. And many people know this. They use it a daily mantra, in fact, in the evening times. And this is, from here, the actual figure of the constellation starts. Yasmai namaha tachiraha dharmo murdhanam brahma uttarahanuhu yajna adhara Viṣṇur hridayam samvatsaraha prajananam ashvinau purvapadav Atrir Madhyam, Mitravarnam Aparapadav, Agnihi Puchasya Prathamam Kandam. These are simple Sanskrit. Pucha is tile. The first part of the tile is Agni, called Agni. Tata Indraha. Then comes Indra. Tataha Prajapatihi. Then the star is Prajapati. Abhayam Chaturtham. The fourth on the tile is Abhaya. His name is Abhaya. What is this? Is this imaginary figure? No. Savad Esha Divya Śaṅkara Śiśumāra. This is the Divya Śaṅkara. This is the celestial Śaṅkara. Śaṅkara means the powerful animal. Varaha. That means among all the powerful people, he is the Shrestha. And he is the Śiśumāra. Śiśumāra has led to a lot of problems later on. That means he kills the child. Shishun Marayati, Śiśumāra is the Vyakhyan also it is given like this. So Śiśumāra is a aquatic animal. It is like a whale. A whale swallows its own small whales. Like a big fish swallowing small fish, they say in English. And in Sanskrit there is a Timingila. If you see the Vyutpatti of Timingila, Timin Gilati iti Timingilaha. So they say Timingila Gilaha is going to be the one bigger than that. Then Timingila Giligilaha is going to be bigger than that kind of thing. So this Anavastha comes up there and say, no, we will not do all those tricks and that, because there should be no Anavastha. That is for the Vyakarnas only.
Actually, turquoise is what is translated. Something like
that. And it is known that even today, the big fish, the big whales, they swallow. Whether they intentionally do it or they're so big, these go inside, You can't help it. They will not know. Like, Hanuman going to the mouth of Simhika, we don't know. It goes simply like that. So, this is Śiśumāra. So, this is a constellation. It is in the sky because it is Divya. What else is there? Who knows this? Ya evam Veda, who understands this? Punar mrityam jayati. Simple. Jayati swargam lokam. Na adhvani pramiyate. while he is traveling, because the ancient people, they have to travel, he won't die during his Tirtha Yatra. Na Agnau Pramiyate, he will not die by fire, like Dhritarashtra and others died, in Kanakalniyar after the Mahābhārata war. Na Apsu Pramiyate, he won't die even in the Apsu. Na Anapatyaha Pramiyate, he won't die without a child. Lagvano Bhavati, Dhruvas Tvamasi, Dhruvasya Kshitamasi, Tvam Bhutanam Adhipati Rasi. Simple, you can understand. You are Dhruva, you are fixed. Dhruvasya Kshitamasi, you are the place of Dhruva also. So this is both Śiśumāra is addressing, is also addressing the place of Dhruva, something which is fixed. And then he says, Tvam Bhutanam Shreshtosi. And before that, Bhutanam Adhipatisrasi, Bhutanam Shreshtosi, Bhutani Upaparyavartante. All the Bhutas, all created things go round you. Upaparyavartante. Namaste Namaha Śiśumāraya Namaha. Now in some editions, it is only Śiśumāra, but in some versions, there is a Śiśumāra which is put up there. Whatever may be the changes which might have happened. It's a child, you can say, how do you translate it? You can say baby child or whatever, you can say that. Now you can see, who is the Śiśumāra here? It can only be Abhaya, because he is the fearless person, he is the last. And this has been taken over by the Purāṇas. Because the Purāṇas is exactly the same thing, or almost the same thing, and this tradition continues up to today, this. And the mantras are today also said in the evening Sandhya Vandana, looking to the north. Because Sarayana says, Dhruva Mandalam Pashyan Ucharet. This mantra has to be said looking into the Dhruva Mandala in the north. There are so many new questions come up, astronomical. Okay, see, this is the meaning also I have given. This is the pole star mantra which is there. And you can see Viṣṇur Hridayam is the statement here. And in the Hridaya part, that is, if you imagine this whale, in the head is going to be Dharma, Brahma is the Uttarāyaṇa, the lower jaw, and then Yajño Adhara, the lower jaw, the lip, Viṣṇu Hridayam, Samvatsara Prajananam. There is a part which is the genitals of this animal, that is the Samvatsara. That means that produces the years. And it is all stars. We understand it is in the sky. And this is the first animal figure for a group of stars which I can locate historically. Because I am telling this, people say only the Greeks brought in the zodiac, which are the animals, Mesha, Vrishabha and all that, which are anyway Sanskrit names. These people might have also known, but the Rashid things was not there. But identifying constellations in terms of names, group of stars was there already in the most ancient period. Important thing is I can date this. From the previous video I showed, I know when the previous thing was possible and whether there were 14 stars in that and whether that constellation looks like a dragon. As simple as that. And are there any further references for that? Puranas have, and what else is there in the Vedas? We'll show you all of that. So quickly, this is the stellarium figure. You imagine this as the center of the Bhuvanam, that is the pole point. I hope you are able to see the star here, and this is the nakshatra. Nakshatra means a group of stars. This is the Śiśumāra mandala, it is generally said, not a nakshatra. And this is the Dhruva. And if you identify with the modern animal figures, this is the dragon. Same period. Imagine this is the Brahma, lower Hridaya, this is somewhere is the Hridaya Viṣṇu, and this is the fourth point, the 14th point, that is going to be Abhaya. So Agni and others are here. You can locate these stars without any difficulty. This was possible in 2830 BC, exactly. But for some time, for about plus or minus 1 degrees variation, I will not be able to see it, or it will be thinking it is still fixed. Or the tradition may say still fixed. For about 200 years this way, that way, it will be the same thing. There is the general understanding. So from 3000 BC or 3200 to 2400, depends on how people want to argue on that. I'm not very particular, but somewhere in between, this was possible. This is the period when Dhruva was there, fixed. And the Dhruva legend of the Purāṇas should have also originated during that period. How it originated, I don't know. Whether there was really a king by name Uttānapāda, Suruchi, Sumiti and all of that in 2800 BC, I cannot say that. So we should not worry about those things. But this is clearly an astronomical picture which is preserved for us as a story, as a legend. But in the Taittirīya Āraṇyaka, it is not so much a legend. It is a direct figure which is there, in the sky. But it asks us to worship that and do the dhyana on that, because bhuv prapadye, bhuv prapadye. So there is a cosmic worshipping which happens and which has continued in the Vedic tradition to this day as Sandhya Vandanam, in the evening at least, in the way, which in the evening generally people are said to turn to the north and do the upasthanam. That means why north? Because in the morning it is east, sun sets in the west also, the arghya is given. Why the upasthana in the north? Sayana explains in his bhasha, if there is time I will add that. Dhruva mandalam pasyan upasthanam kuryat. That is what he says in the 14th century. Because Sayana was in the 14th century. So the culture has continued, even though the stories have been forgotten, and this is astronomical. I have put up, because I wrote this for some publication, the whole thing I have put up there as a draft in the notes. So it reads more like a terse kind of a scientific publication. So the language is like that, because a lot of information has to be put. Otherwise the reviewers will not easily accept that, So all that I have put up, so read it slowly. Here I am presenting only the story of that. So the declination is what I have plotted here for Thuban as well as Suniti. Suniti is Idra. The modern names are there. Idra. It is given in your notes. And both of them, they go near 90 degrees. At the time 2800 BC. It's on this side. Plotted on the x-axis starting from 3000 BC up to almost 2000 AD. So the other three stars also, for sake of comparison, I have put up, because the Purāṇa says the 4 stars do not set nor rise. These last 4 stars. That means they are circumpolar. You get some information out of it, because circumpolar stars, they don't have any rise or set. They should be visible all through the year, strictly speaking. We are talking of the northern hemisphere. Now, in South India, it may be difficult to see some of them because of you are coming lower and lower. It depends on the latitude also, not only on the position in the north. But for the Purāṇas, the last 4 were not setting. And even in the Āraṇyaka period, it might not have been setting. But later on, it had started setting. So you can get some geographical, cultural information out of it. And that is what I have tried to bring out here. See, if you come to Kanchipuram, the terrestrial latitude is about 12 degrees. Bangalore is 12 degrees. Kanchipuram is more or less 12 degrees. So around 1000 BC, or approximately, 500 BC, here it is there, this Dhruva would not be visible all through the year. North it is still visible. You see, here it is, the other place is Kurukshetra and Ujjaini. In Kurukshetra and in north, even today the Thuban is supposed to be still circumpolar, but maybe it's such a low altitude, it may not be visible, it may not be bright. That is another matter, that is theoretical. But in the south, it went out of something, there is a cultural issues there. Because I think from the north, the Vedics migrated, say after 500 BC, they could not locate Dhruva all through the year. Even though Śiśumāra they would have known, because Sayana knows Śiśumāra quite well in 14th century, they would have known. And in the marriage rituals, this is very important, Dhruva darśana, which was introduced already in 3000 BC in the Hindu marriages, here it was Dhruva darśana is mentioned, but Arundhati is shown. It's called Dhruva Arundhati darśana, and Arundhati is shown. And there are interesting things which happens in the northern Griha Sutras. For example, the Parskar Griha Sutra, which is followed by the Shukla Yajurveda. Shukla Yajurveda is more in the north. There are Shukla Yajurvedas here also, very few. They say in the Parskara, if you see, Dhruvam Pashyan, Apashyan, I will show that mantra. Even if it is not visible, you have to say Drishtam, that I have seen it, the bride has to say. Because it became legalistic by that time. Whether they saw or not, they have to say. But in the earlier period, it was not like that. It was more constrained and more emotional for the Vedic people. And this comes out in the Purāṇas. If you see, compare Purāṇas with the Griha Sutras, Purāṇas with the Vedas, this contrast and comparison comes out, and later on you can compare it with your own stories, your own children's stories, what your own grandmother or somebody might have told you, and the cultures that are followed in our own regions, in fact, not just by the Vedics. All people follow this, So this is important for as a cultural history. Now, this is the Brahmanda Purana text. I will not read it. Brahmanda Purana gives a Meru-centric astronomical model. That means Dhruva is holding and all others are going around him. It's a circular model. This is not the Greek model where the Greeks think there is a glass ceiling so that they don't go above that or whatever. Here it is not like that. It's all infinite. But Dhruva is holding. So around Dhruva all this is moving, that there is something which connects. That is what you have to imagine. It's called a Meru Parvata sometime, Meru axis sometime, simply Meru sometime, simply Medi and Methi also sometime. And that description is here as an oil mill model and also as a potter model. That is like a person who does pots, the kumhar. So he does the potter, he rotates the wheel. It is to show two important things. Things can be rotating, but it can also be fixed. The center is fixed. But the outer thing you are looking at, it is all rotating. So the nakshatra chakra and those things may be rotating. We have no objection. Sun, moon, they all be rotating. But there is something fixed. That bhuvanasya nabhihi, which came up from the beginning, nabhi always generally means center, is the navel. And there is so much importance attached to that. Later on it became called Dhruva because it is fixed. But Dhruva also started moving. That is the sad story. And that goes into the cultural issues later on. Now, this is what I wanted to show. Pucce Agnischa Mahendrascha Marichaha Kashyapo Dhruvaha. And these Nanuyanti, somewhere it comes, I can't locate it here. Yeah, these are circumpolar. Here it is. Taraka Śiśumārasya Nastam Yanti Chatushtayam. These four they don't set. This is the Purana statement. So you can combine these things and you can know the rough era where it might have happened or when it lost for a particular place, the circumpolarity. So you can locate that point. Up to about 25 degrees north I have tried. Till about 2000 BC, it was not setting. After that, these Purana concepts might have come, where orally transmitted and other kinds of things being mixed up and all that. And this is clearly Pariyanti Medi Bhutan Dhruvan Dhrivi Agnindra Kashyapananto Charamosi Dhruva Smrtaha. This is again the Brahmanda Purana statement. Viṣṇu Purana gives similar things. It is very strong here than the Viṣṇu Purana. That is why I am quoting this. This is very near to the Vedic period. Eka eva brahmatyeva meru parvata murdani. Says Brahmati, he rotates there in the Meru Parvata Murdhani. So the Puranas had also observed some rotation. It says Dhruva, he is fixed, but also he is rotating there. It is not moved out, but it is rotating there. That means after about from 2850 BC, come about 1000 years later, you would see that it's in the night it will rotate with the rotating there. It's very important because Aryabhata and those people, Aryabhata particularly, he knows the diurnal rotation of earth. Where did he get it? The Puranas say the Dhruva rotates for 30 Muhurta each day, south to north around the pole. So he is rotating at the top. So Aryabhata might have taken this concept and made it into a relative motion. Instead of the Bhapanjara is supposed to be fixed, it is rotating, he says. No, earth itself rotates, that is sufficient. He might have taken it like that, we don't know. Because the other astronomers didn't accept him. Okay, this is the Meru-centric model, and we have been trying to reconstruct this. There is a comparison between the Vedas and the Puranas for people who want to know how the astronomy has developed further. The same 14 stars are there, but some of the names are different. In the Purana, it is the Uttānapāda which comes up, the second one. Kratu is the lower jaw, whereas in the Āraṇyaka, it is the Yajna. And if you ask classical Sanskrit, Yajna and Kratu, there are Paryayapadas, leave it. Maybe the meaning may be same later on. But as stars, the naming, there are different names which are there. Then Viṣṇu is here. Here in the Purana is called Narayana. It shouldn't make much of a difference. If you accept they are equal, it is the same thing. And then Samvatsara, here also Samvatsara. Then slight differences there, I will not read it. The last four are same. Here it is called Abhaya. Abhaya is fearless. Because it is the Abhaya, he is the Abhaya who went to the forest alone to do the penance, So he was the Abhaya, fearless fellow. And he was the Śiśumāra. He was the small child, boy child. So that is how the story would have developed. Yeah, these are the two models. This is the oil mill model, where this is supposed to be the Medi. These bulls rotated. Whereas in this model, in the Purāṇic model, these are the Graha, the planets and other things. The rotation is here. You have to imagine some kind of a, mechanism in this place, a gear mechanism or whatever, which will be a triple gear, a triangle gear which may rotate like this and all that. But they had observed it and they said, Taittirīya Chakravarty, Kulala Chakranabhischa, somewhere it also says Taittirīya Chakravarty. Okay, now what about, how do you determine a pole star? Why can't some star at the pole be called a pole star? Because I have seen some papers written by very well-meant astronomers, Jyotishi particularly, who says even Varahamihira mentions about a pole star, Dhruvatara. Even Vateshwara Siddhanta mentions something about a Dhruvatara. But is it the Dhruvatara which is there? Are they mentioning? It is the Tara at the Dhruva point, or it is the pole star. Is a star at the pole is different from a pole star. In the Siddhantic period, the pole was known. They did not need a night observation to fix a pole star, to see a star at the pole. They fixed the pole in the morning by doing the shadow experiments. And Varahamihira says you have the Palaka Yantra, you lift it at your latitude by whatever is the latitude by that angle. That is the Dhruva. Dhruvatara may be visible there. That means some star you may see there. That is different. But was that the pole star? Pole star has to be only of this kind. If you have a star there, and the nearby stars, you have a constellation, you rotate this. This will remain in the same place. It is like you make something here and like a photo, which you put a nail, you rotate the photo, no, but the nail remains at the same place. It doesn't rotate. It is something like a hinge or a pivot. Small variations may be there, but you ignore that. But theoretically, it's a perfect point. And points have no dimension. So you have to see only from the eye and estimate that it is fixed there. You can't go there and measure. It's all only naked eye observations. So today we have a pole star because this star, anybody can observe in the night. You mark these 4 in the evening, sunset, and see next day, in the sunrise point, these would have moved to this position, whereas this would be remaining in the same place. So next day also the same thing repeats. So you conclude, for IKS people I have to say, use Arthapatti. And use Arthapatti because people would talk about great Pramānas. How do you come to this and the Indian knowledge system? Yes, it is Indian knowledge system, no doubt. From Arthapatti, they also came to the conclusion this should be fixed. The same thing had happened to Thuban in 2000, around 2800 BC. Now, this is the 14 starred thing as per the international thing, and you can see this is, everybody agrees, this would have been the Thuban, fixed pole star at that time. Now, let me quickly go through the remaining one. This is the one which is shown during the marriages. And yes, I have seen that, we'll close it sometime. The mantra is this: Dhruva kshitihi, Dhruva yonihi, Dhruvamasi, Dhruvata stitam. Tvam nakshatranam methyasi, samam pahi pratanyataha. This comes in the Krishna Yajurveda, Ekagni Kanda. This is the mantra for showing the Dhruva. And this is Tvam nakshatranam methyasi, for the star. And the corresponding explanations are given why it has to be done in the commentary, because the lady has to stay in the marital home like a methi. She has to be fixed. And the nakshatras will go around her. That is her, the Devara and the Nanandas and all of them will go around her. You assume it. That is, the husband says, my siblings will all be obeying you. So you be stationary here in this empowerment mantra for the lady. So this is a gender empowerment mantra, and this is come from the Taittirīya Āraṇyaka. Part of it is that Dhruva kshitihi, Dhruva yonihi, which was there in that mantra, that is made into a different one, and it is here. So a very strong thing, and there is also a further chronological issues which crop up. Maybe we break for tea now, or another 5 minutes? Okay, you tell me when. Now new questions come up from the people who investigated further. You said Dhruva was fixed. Later on there was no Dhruva. What happened in between? Did anybody worry about it? Did the Vedics worry about it? Did the Vedics, the Purāṇic people at least developed a story. What did the Vedics do? Is there a ritual for the Veda people? Or how did this continue happen? Why did this change? What is the effect of this on Indian culture? These questions come up. And again, Maitrāyaṇī Āraṇyaka is a wonderful text for this. There are others also I will show you. This is also called a Upanishad, Āraṇyaka Upanishad. Today, it's called just Maitri Upanishad. But there is a Āraṇyaka part which is very beautiful. Beginning itself, the king Brihadrata starts asking, Sarvans Chedam Kshaishnuhu Pashyamo Yatime Damsha Mashakadayaha. He asked the Rishi, it's called Shakayanya, everything is transient in this earth as I see, because the king is so much upset with something, It is his Nirveda which comes to the Rishi and explaining. This is the standard in the Vedanta picture, somebody, the king going to the Rishi and asking questions. The same thing is happening here. And what does he ask? Everything is so transient. Like even a mashaka, like a mosquito, it is like that. So it goes to such an extent. And what he says, I will not read it, Kechid Sudyumna, Buridyumna, Indradyumna, Kovalayashvav, etc. He gives 16 names or so of the kings. I haven't written the, okay, it is here itself. Shashabindu, Harishchandra, Ambarisha, Nanaktu, Sharyati, Yayati, Anaranya. All of this, what happened to them? The Chakravartis. They are such strong people, what happened to them? I think there are 16, if I remember it. I counted and written there. That is important. And again he asks, why even the earth is shaking? Why the mountains are falling down? And not only that, why even Dhurvasya Prachalanam? Yesterday MDS mentioned about this. Why even Dhruva is moving? Because Dhruva was believed to be fixed. By whom? By all the traditions, the 16 his predecessors. The whole culture for nearly maybe 800 years, 1000 years, believed that is Dhruva, that is Achyuta, and this is Śiśumāra, in the Hridaya is Viṣṇu, and worshipping the center of the earth, that is the Bhuvanasya Nabhihi, that is where after the Darshapurnamasa they wanted to go and stay in this Varga, in the Vaikunta, that is with Viṣṇu. And Viṣṇu, the Draco, that is the Śiśumāra, slowly he became the Kshiṛasagara, because the Kshiroda is nearby, the Amba. It became a Naga, a Shesha. Viṣṇu is after all lying on the Shesha. The imagery is very clear there. And from the Milky Way only, Ganga started. Ganga fell on Viṣṇupada, that is from there, and then came into the head of Shiva, and then came into the Himalayas, the Kailasa. But here is the original thing which is here, And he asked that question. So that means it had already moved. The original 2830 to this time, some 1000-year difference would be there. Can we date this? Can't exactly date this, but I can date something different. This is the effect of precision, what is meant by this precision. Now, today precision is said the Ayana Chalana in Indian astronomy. There is a shifting of the equinoxes. That is the equinoctial point shifts. The original is actually the reason is not the equinox, it is the pole. That is why it is called the axial rotation of Earth. That is, the axis rotates. It is not, the Earth rotating is one thing, it is the rigid body dynamics. Some of the engineers and the physicists would be knowing there is the rigid body dynamics. Even a top, you put it on the ground, it only rotates, but it also goes. Somewhere there it goes. The children would be playing, it goes somewhere else. That is because of an extra rotation which comes up that. That is there in the Earth, well established. You can calculate also this mathematically. Comes to about 25 to 26,000 years. There are some variations because Earth is not a perfect sphere. We will not go into those details. But anyway, this effect was felt, and precision was, reason was not known, but the effect was felt. See, people may not know why eclipses occur, but they feel the eclipse when it is there. You can say that for yourself. In the same way it happened. Now, if you are interested in stories, I heard somebody, it's a storyteller, he was telling yesterday, there is a story in the Mahābhārata. I'm not going to the dating issue. Where did the marriage of Draupadi happen? We would say, okay, Drupada's capital. Which is Drupada's capital? It is Kampilya. That is a village called Kampili even today, after Saharanpur or somewhere, Murad, forget the name. It is there in Uttar Pradesh, Kampili. You are from that place?
Yeah, nearby.
Okay. Well, anyway, but the marriage did not happen there. It happened in a town northeast of the capital, and that town was called Śiśumāra Pura, and that is the here. Tatah Purajana Sarve Sagarodhuta Nisvanaha Śiśumāra Puram Prapya Navishan Techa Parthivaha. Simple Sanskrit. They went to Śiśumāra Purāṇ said, Praguttarena Nagarat, it was in the northeast of the Nagara, Kampilya. Bhumi Bhage Same Shubhe, Samaja Vataha Shishubhe, Bhavanaihi Sarvato Vrtaha. He developed a town called Śiśumāra to the northeast, not in the north, because originally it was in the north. Śiśumāra was in the north. So a kind of an impression is created. They were aware of this, that it is shifting. And it is there in several other places also. And you remember how Arjuna had to win Draupadi. He had to hit a star, a fish, looking at not looking at the top, but looking down. But it has to go through that. And that itself would be rotating. It is an imagery of the Dhruva, of the precision imagery. Later on, it was called Dhruva and the polar fish. That is during the Siddhantic period. That is Ursa Minor. That is true. That looked like a fish. But this is a Śiśumāra, is not a fish. Fish has no legs. Whale has legs. So there are 4 legs here. Don't forget it. It's an aquatic animal. It had the Purva Padav and Apara Padav. You can't forget that the 2 bends of that Draco constellation. And the Śiśumāra comes up in several other places. Panchavimsha Brahmana. There again another story of a Śiśumāra Rishi. And he was in the terrestrial ocean. And Indra, he got angry. So he came onto the sand. Then again he praised Indra. Then he went back. And then finally he came to the celestial ocean and the sky. And this is connected with what is called a Śaṅkara salmon. And this salmon is used by the boatsmen, by the naval people who travel by Nava. It is also called the Plava salmon nearby. So when you are going in a boat, you utter these mantras for safety or whatever, meaning it is the circumpolar star with which you can identify the directions. How did in the 3000 BC Harappans or others who were navigating people, how did they identify their directions? Everybody agrees it should be with reference to the star. The star was available to them. And that is why Mitra Varuna they prize, even in the Rigveda, Varuna is prized as a person for regent deity for the people who navigate. For the fisher, not the fisherman, we can say people who navigate, Varuna is the king for them. And Varuna is, Mitra and Varuna, they are bright stars of magnitude 2 or 2.5 in the Draco constellation, in circumpolar. Okay. And there is several other things. Śiśumāra was remembered even up to, I would say, 300 BC. Because in the Jaina Bhadrabahu Samhita, there is a statement about Śiśumāra being covered by a Ketu, that is a comet. So there is some omen and portent, let's not worry about it, but the possibility of was here. If Śiśumāra was an animal in the water, what is the Ketu? A comet can capture it, it's not possible. But anyway, I'll quickly push this out. We are going for coffee or? Anytime. Okay, let me stop here and then have coffee and then come back. Then I want to leave it for Sunder, Have another 20 minutes and leave it for Sunder to go with his. Let me continue with my talk. So we are continuing with our Dhruva and this Śiśumāra. Now the questions which are there was, how did it continue? What are the evidences and how it was believed? How the present day Dhruva has come? Today also Dhruva darśana happens because it is a fixed ritual which is there. Which Dhruva should be seen? Are we doing a wrong thing? Should we look at only that Dhruva or a different Dhruva? What is these questions are important. Briefly touch upon that. See, when we come to the first millennium AD, I am quoting here from the Viṣṇu Sahasranama Bhashya of Śaṅkaracārya. Viṣṇu Sahasranama is a popular thing, all of us knows. So, Nakshatra Nemi, Nakshatri, it comes. Nakshatra Nemi, Nakshatri, both are for Viṣṇu, is the synonym, he says. He is the Nakshatra Nemi. So, how does Śaṅkaracārya explain it? He says, it is very clearly, Śiśumārasya Hridaye Jyotihi, that is Nemi Pravartakaha Stitaha Viṣṇuriti Nakshatra Nemihi. He explains the word Nakshatra Nemi. Śiśumāra Varnane Viṣṇum Hridayam Taittirīya Āraṇyakam 219. This is the actual commentary available, and you can download and read it. So, the Viṣṇu and of the Sahasranama that he is talking is in the Śiśumāra, and he clearly uses the word Śiśumāra. Later some people called it Śiśumāra. It's a very minor difference, forget it. It's the same as Śiśumāra. So this is a reference when this was already in the 8th century AD, when there was no actual pole star, and already Brahmagupta had talked about Dhruva Meru. Those things we had to match. So the things were bifurcating. The regular astronomy, the mathematical astronomy, was realistic to the sky and doing some work with mathematics and all that. Whereas the Vedikas and the cultural thing, they still carried on the past in the same way, textual way, and also the Purāṇa way, and in the marriage ceremonies showing the Dhruva. Which Dhruva they showed, we have no idea, because it is a very important thing, and it continued. And almost all the three acharyas accept these sampradayas. The Viṣṇu, which is there in the Nakshatra Nemi, in the Viṣṇu Sahasranama, is only in the Śiśumāra as per the Veda, as per the Taittirīya Āraṇyaka. That is the only reference. So it is one of the canonical things for our culture and for the Hinduism. And the Madhva Sampradaya, they brought in an icon of this kind. It's there, I heard in Bangalore. I haven't yet seen it, but I got the photograph. I checked up with others. That's how they do the regular worship. This is the icon of Viṣṇu and Śiśumāra. Śiśumāra Rupi Viṣṇu. And you can see this is not a fish. There are 4 legs. And it is Viṣṇu clearly. And Dhruva is at the tip. Dhruva is sitting at the tip. This is worshipped along with the Saligramas. So this is going to be something like an equivalent of Viṣṇu. Now the concept came, many people would think Dhruva himself as Viṣṇu, Dhruva himself as Achyuta. That concept is also there, particularly in the Bhagavata and also in some of the North Indian poems, and in Shishupala. He clearly says that Dhruva is himself Krishna. There is a shloka of that. I will not go into the details of that. Now, there are further evidences of this by outsiders, Alberuni. So Alberuni writes, when he came to India, you know the story of that, the 11th century, he was great interest in Indian science. He knew about Brahmagupta, he knew about Varahamihira, he knew about the Purāṇas, he knew about the Yoga Sutra, he studied them. He translated Yoga Sutra into Persian. You can see up to what level he has gone. Our own people, I don't think they had taken such serious interest with the Yoga Sutras for one particular reason. He refers to Dhruve Tadgati Jnanam. It's a famous Yoga Sutra. So if you do Dhyana Dhruva, Tadgati Dhyanam Labhyate. What is Tadgati? Tasya Gatihi Tadgatihi you have to take. Till that it is okay. But what does the Bhashyas write? They say it is of the moon and the nakshatras. Because the previous sutra says, if you do dhyana on moon, you will understand the taraka and all of that mandala, you understand. Similarly, next it says, if you do dhyana on the nabhi, you will get some other information kind of thing. Here it is Dhruve Tadgati Jnanam. It should be only Dhruva's Gati. Because even as per traditional interpretation in Vakyapatiya and Mahabhārata and all that, the Samastapada, the Samasa has to be applied to the nearest person to whom it refers. So tasya gatihi, it happens to Dhruva only, not to the Chandra, to the Soma. And that was known to Alberuni. How did he know? He knew it only because his gurus or his teachers knew this. And he refers to that, it is the pole star. Whoever looks at the pole star, something happens, he will understand where is the pole star. Pole star, he says, it is in Śiśumāra. And he gives the Orthodox Hindu informants, okay, they knew only the Purāṇas. I think I had a quotation here. Alberuni is sarcastic but historically important record. He says the Hindus tell rather ludicrous tales when speaking of the figure in which they represent the group of stars, namely the figure of a four-footed aquatic animal, which they call Śaṅkara and also Śiśumāra. I suppose that this animal is the great lizard, for in Persia it is called Susmar, which sounds much like the Indian Śiśumāra. What do you say about it? It should be the same. It is a four-footed aquatic animal, not a fish. So the Hindus, he comments, they are people who simply remember something, believe something, but for us it is an evidence that the pole star up to that time they knew only it was in Śiśumāra. And Śiśumāra they remember. That was from the Veda. And that word Śaṅkara is a Vedic word. It is not commonly used in classical Sanskrit. And he wouldn't have known that. He had no idea of the Vedas. Nobody would have taught him Vedas in any manner in the 10th or 11th century. But he would have heard from people about it. And he quotes Purāṇas. Purāṇa he knew. And he gives the story of Dhruva. Manu had two sons, Priyavrata and Uttānapāda, the bow-legged king. Uttānapāda was a bow-legged king. Now, new things come up. Manu was the originator of the human beings. He had two people, sons, Priyavrata and Uttānapāda. Uttānapāda is in 10.72 Rigveda Mandala, the name is there. Is it the same Uttānapāda or only the vrikshas which are there as Sayanacharya mentions? Or is it something different as per the Purāṇas? The Uttānapāda's son was Dhruva and he was important for fixing the earth. So where do you combine all of this? So I will let skip these things. Then when you come to the 17th century, many new things happened during this period. There's a conflict between the people who strictly took only the Vedika approach, people who took the astronomical or the scientific approach. They were not against the Vedas. They were very clear. They all knew the Vedas very well. Where Brahmagupta or even Kamalākara Bhatta. Kamalākara Bhatta sorted out this out. He in his book wrote, Chale chalepi dhruvabe swameshat rashitrayam tad dhuruvaka sharastu shatshashti bhagaha parinita naryaha mahat palam darshanato asti yasya. He said, it is for the marriage thing only he writes. Parinita naryaha is very clear. It is meant for the parinita narya. Which star she should see? He gives the longitude and latitude. Whether the bride may not have known the longitude and latitude, but it refers only to the present day pole star because it is at 66 degrees and 90 degrees. So he cleared that this is the star which has to be seen. And he also said, Chale chale pe dhruvabe. Whether Dhruva moves or it is fixed, okay, that is another matter. But what should be seen by the bride is only this star. So these people knew, but they may perhaps unable to sort it out in a way that we do it today, but it was satisfactory for them. Now this led to a lot of controversies among the Indologists. Indologists knew nothing of these things, They wanted to fix up the date of Rigveda based on the linguistic approaches which Max Muller and others said. So they went on about the Aryan invasion theory and all that. Aryans might have come outside maybe sometime, but not 1500 BC or 1200 BC. That is totally absurd. But that was pointed out by Jacobi. That's what yesterday he was mentioning, MDS also. I have written all these things in my notes. You read it carefully. And these people, Keith, Whitney, Winternitz, even Max Muller, they did not study all the texts. And they were contacted some pundits. They took the information literally of those bits and pieces. They wrote. They did not combine all of this. Today, now I'm trying to show you that it's the combination which is important. We are not isolated Hindus. We may have different sampradayas, but the parampara is same. So that parampara comes if only we collect the things and compare. Okay, so the same mantra is used today also. Let me skip this. Yeah, this is the final one which I had put up to show the whole history, how it can be captured here. This is the 2000 AD, this is 3000 BC, this is the in-between period. This is our historical period. What we can go through this system. Before this it may be prehistoric or whatever you may call it, that's a different matter. And this Abhaya, Dhruva and Suniti are here. This is about the period 3000. All other things which are there, we can mark up to this point. This is because of the precision of the equinoxes only. So this is an animation which shows how the two things come together. I don't know whether it is possible to demonstrate it. I think it is moving. You can see slowly the time is shown here, 100-year period. This is due to Sunder Chakravarty only. The original tile which is here moving is the Śiśumāra. This is the polar fish, Dhruva Matsya. And you know, the present day Dhruva is kept in the mouth of the fish, whereas the past Dhruva was kept in the tail of the animal. And the Siddhantic astronomers were very clear. This is the polar fish. And Matsyasya Mukhe Dhruvaha is what they say. Whereas here, Śiśumārasya Pucche Dhruvaha. Remember that. So this is about 5,000 years of history. And I have put up this as a paleontological thing, as a layer text. Because all these texts refer to Dhruva, which I have put up almost every text which you can think of as this. So how from 3000 BC we have come to now 2000 AD here, and how the Dhruva the word is remaining same, but the actual Dhruva has shifted even in the text. And in between, the cultural things has remained, the practice of Dhruva darśana. So our worshipping of Dhruva has not changed. And Kalidasa, in fact, made this immortal in his Kumara Sambhavam. Dhruvena Bhartra Dhruva darshanaya prayujyamana priya darshanena sa drishta ityananam unnamaya hrisanna kanti kathamapyuvacha, he says. Very beautiful in the Vivaha, in the marriage, in the Kailasa. Dhruva, Shiva has to show, bridegroom has to show, and Parvati has to say, yes, I have seen. Drishta iti ananam unnamaya. She is shy, so she somehow Kali looks up and says, yes, I have seen. So that is the Dhruva darśana, and it has to be permanent like this. Okay, we will skip all of this. If you have any questions later on, we can see. This Meru-centric astronomy has started because of this only, and there are several articles by Westerners mostly on the Meru-centric astronomy of the Purāṇas, of the Vedas, and how they imagined the cosmography. And this has become very important nowadays after the ISKCON people have taken up the Bhagavata Purāṇa cosmology. And Jaina texts have their own Meru and their own cosmology. Even though Jaina texts, they don't refer to Dhruva, but the Meru is there. So it is a new concept. An imaginary Meru stays to this day, whereas the visible things, they all vanish. So it is the ideas which remain, whereas the physical things may change, may vanish. Now we have to keep this in mind. This is very important for our astronomy. Thank you so much. Sundar can take over. Meanwhile, if there are any questions.
Any questions?
Sir, do you have any paper on this topic of the Śiśumāra and its transition?
Dhruvat ಮೇಲೆ paper ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
I've given you.
That paper. It's a little long paper.
It's included in your notes. You have to take trouble to read it. Okay.
That's the longest paper.
Now, as I said, it was a thing which I wrote systematically, not as a notes. Since it was ready, I just attached it. It's also available in the other one. That book I showed, and morning I sent you the link, which you can download and read. There it is in a shorter version. It is also published in 2011 in the Journal of History of Science, the preliminary things. But I have added more new things recently.
Sir, so with respect to the astronomy before Common Era, is there any mention of the other dvipas?
Other?
Apart from Jambu Dvipa, other dvipas coming up?
Dvipa, island, Dvipa.
You will come to Mahāsalilam.
Okay.
That is the Pṛthivī you are asking. I am talking only of the Dhyauhu now. I haven't come to the Pṛthivī at all. But that book I showed, Bhagavata, Cosmography of the Bhagavata by Thompson, you can download. He talks of the Dvipa, Purāṇic Dvipas and all that. I have not talked about the geography at all.
Sir, you wrote the time of Bhadrabahu Samhita 300 BC. So how do we get the time of Bhadrabahu Samhita?
Bhadrabahu Samhita.
300 BC. How do we get that time? Because
okay, I followed. When I mentioned this, Bhadrabahu is from a tradition. Now, Bhadrabahu Samhita, if you see the printed book available, there are some things which are added up later on. The Rashi things and Mesha, Vrishabha positions. So obviously that belongs to a later period. Now, if Śiśumāra and Ketu are given, is it a later period is the question. But Śiśumāra and Ketu comes with the Kaushik Sutra. Saptarshin Upadupayati Dhumaketuhu is a mantra which is in this, belongs to the Atharva Veda Sutra, which was pre-BCE. So this Bhadrabahu, the Jaina system says, there are any Jains, if there is any mistake you can correct me, he was the last Shruta Kevalin. Shruta Kevalins are those who had heard directly from Mahavira, all the canonical things, and he was the third one or the last one among the Shruta Kevalins. It is in his name. So if 500 BC or 526 BC was Mahavira's time, the Surya Chandra Prajnapti belongs to that time. Another 200 years might have happened for Bhadrabahu Samhita is the guess. That is how it has been fixed up. More than that, nobody has looked into astronomical information in Bhadrabahu Samhita to see whether from modern astronomical approaches whether we can fix up its time. Simply because Pingree says it is 8th century, people have said yes, 8th century, 8th century. There was no need for Bhadrabahu to, who belongs to the older period, to write something in the 8th century. It may be a layered text, I don't deny that. But as I said with the Brahmanda Purana, you have to look up the older issues and see whether it matches.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, I'll talk about some tutorials on Stellarium and other things, but there may be some technical glitches. If it happens, bear with me, because there are a lot of equipment connected to each other here. So, we heard a lot about the methods of ancient astronomy from Professor R. and Iyengar. And this would be demonstrating some of the topics he touched upon, not all of it, but some of it, and in some limited manner. It won't be perfect, but it will give you an idea of how to visualize the various research aspects that have happened. So we're breaking it out into two sessions. In the first session, I'll be talking about Meru, then a little bit of Stellarium basics, and I sent information on how to install Stellarium. We'll try to play with it a little bit here, not too much. Then we'll touch upon Dhruva, the sun and nakshatra, some demonstrations on those. And then how to visualize precession from different points of view. That is today, and tomorrow we'll touch upon the moon and other aspects and eclipses. So again, on the day one, we'll start with Meru and Stellarium and other aspects. So regarding Meru, so I'll just go to the visualization first, then we can discuss a little bit. So this runs for 3 minutes, about 3 minutes. Let me restart it. So this combines a lot of information from various sources. The page 42 to 44 or around that of the Mahāsalilam book covers this. You can read that and think of this as an approximate visualization of that. So in the beginning there was Mahāsalilam, the empty space, and then the Prithvi emerges. In Prithvi there are 4 dvipas, the Jambu Dvipa that we all know, and Prag-Jyotisha. Actually this course is a Prag-Jyotisha, it's an ancient astronomy. So you can remember it like that. Uttarākuru is what is Xinjiang these days. Ketumala is towards the west. So these are the 4 islands in the Prithvi. And there is Dhruva on the top. The diamond is the Dhruva. Then the Meru emerges. So this is our Srishti. The Dhruva is on top of the Meru. And Meru is the shape, have various shapes. I have chosen a cone. There are other shapes also that are possible. Then the nakshatra emerges. There are 27 nakshatras. And Meru actually is the controller of the nakshatras. The nakshatras are tied to Meru, and Meru kind of spins them around. So that's what is being visualized here. There are 27 nakshatras that go around Meru. And then the next step would be the sun to emerge, let it emerge. So sun has already emerged, and you can see the sun creates day and night. Wherever the sun is, that island is bright and day. The opposite is night. And so this is day and night, so that's night, and this is the day part. And the sun, actually as the sun moves, the sun progresses 1 nakshatra every 13 days. So right now the sun is at nakshatra 1. As time passes, you can see it will go, I just keep, so keep an eye on the sun, which is this is what I worried about. Pardon me? You think of it as looking away. You're look outside of the pole. You're looking from the top of the universe. So you saw Dhruva. You are able to see Dhruva from the top. Think of it like that. I have to redo it. Something went wrong there. Yeah. So this is my imagination for convenience also. There are different shapes possible, and that you have to do the research actually. So yeah, the Meru Parvata's shape is subject to creative interpretation. Okay. So this is Jambudvipa on the south and Prag-Jyotisha again actually this ancient old astronomy is also Prag-Jyotisha. That's what I was trying to pun there. But let's continue from here. Then this diamond is the Dhruva, and we are looking at some far away place where you can see Dhruva and the planets. Think of it like that. Now the Meru emerges, and on top of Meru is Dhruva Meru Murdhanya Sitam, something like that is there. So this, and then the Meru controls all the nakshatras. The Meru is slightly above, and think of it like a carousel. And these are going around Meru. And then the sun emerges. When the sun emerges, the sun creates day on the side of the sun and creates night on the other side. And this actually, if it were night, if I were more perfect, half day, half night, and then there is the evenings, the sandhyas are there on this side. That is also mentioned. But you can imagine what is happening. Right now the sun is with nakshatra 1. What the sun travels through the nakshatras at the rate of around 13 days per nakshatra. And that is what will be shown next. So sun is now with 1, and the sun moves 13 days ahead, 1 nakshatra every 13 days. And let it run now. I'll try to speed it up a little bit. Just imagine time flowing faster. About maybe 7-8 seconds later it will land on nakshatra 2. And then we can continue from there. We are on day 4 now, so we got to go up to day 13. And the day 7, these are all time sped up for our convenience. Yeah. You can see it's already gone to Nakshatra 2. By the time of day 13, it will be just exactly 1 nakshatra distant away from where it started. This whole animation is available on the web. I'll put the link in our group. You can actually peruse it at your own convenience. On the phone, you have to keep it vertical. In horizontal mode, it's not looking good. On vertical mode, it will look good. Now by day 13, it has landed in Nakshatra 2 now. So similarly, if you count that in around 360 days, it will take to cover all of them. The sun covers all the nakshatras in 1 year. Now this is other view of what a sun does in a year. So from here, one full round is 1 year, and the sun started right now. It's a Sharat equinox, this point, and this point will be Uttarāyaṇa. Uttarāyaṇa begins here, and this point will be Vasanta Madhya or Vasanta equinox. And finally, we'll go Dakshinayana. Yes? Can you give me hold? This will be done in 2 minutes. I'll just answer your question. I'll come back to that. Also, if you look at it, the sun is said to be going up and down. So when it's a Dakshinayana point, it is actually the downmost point, and when it goes to Uttarāyaṇa, it is the uppermost point. So this is kind of visualization of the pulsing orbit of the sun captures the up and downness of the sun as it goes around the earth over the year. So we saw that the sun takes 13 days to cross 1 nakshatra, and in 1 year it creates 2 ayanas, and in Uttarāyaṇa it is at the lowest point, at Dakshinayana start it is at the highest point, and the midpoint of the 2 ayanas are the equinox. So that is, combining various aspects that we discussed. This is kind of a presentation of one interpretation of how we can view the combined story of the Srishti. You had a question, madam? Anybody had a question? Earth moves around the sun is true. Sun also moves around the earth is also true. If you look at it carefully, it's all relative. So the way I look at it is, forget about geocentric, heliocentric, nothing. As you observe, as you see the sun is going around us, right? If you don't have any mathematical model, see, all this is observational. So if you remove your mathematics, it's easy to understand. So as you observe, that's what it is. So I hope I'm not like overemphasizing the point, but in this case, that doesn't matter. So you want to add something? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so there is some creativity there. I cannot back that up exactly how it is in the text. And some of it is my creation for the narration. I could be wrong there, but I'm not sure there. Yeah.
Yes, the stars.
Sun is going through the nakshatras.
Okay. So, is that a visualization?
No, that is true even today. As a word, it's the nakshatras being tied to moon is not a nice way to look at nakshatras.
Nakshatra is independent. Tying into the moon.
Correct.
But what do you mean by saying the sun is going through the moon? Because this terminology is there in astrology.
Yeah.
In astrology,
it's not in astrology, it's also in Jyotisham. In couple of slides later, I got first points.
okay.
It is actually the sun's passage through the nakshatras is given in Hridaya Jyotisham itself.
Correct, but my question is, while the texts talk about it, can we observe it as?
We can observe it, and the trick is to observe it before sunrise or after sunset. Then you can do the Anumana. When the sun is there, you can't see the nakshatra unless there is a total solar eclipse. But if you know the arrangement of the stars, and you can see what star is rising before sunrise, you can do the estimate the rest. Yeah.
No, just I want to understand that wobbling you showed about the sun, right?
Yeah.
Is that because of the elliptical path, or was this a visualization from out?
No, it's the elliptical part of the modern understanding of the elliptical orbit of the sun is not represented here. This is just to represent when you observe Uttarāyaṇa and Dakshināyaṇa. Uttarāyaṇa is down, Dakshināyaṇa is up. This is visualization of that. Yeah.
As we were seeing the radius of this.
The perception radius.
Yeah, it was close when it is down and the
Correct.
high. Is it because of the apogee and perigee?
No.
No.
So it is not related to that at all. It is just as you observe. If you observe, you will observe. I'll show you that also. I see that when you see the sun in the meridian, when the mid-noon sun will be up and down in Dakshināyaṇa and Uttarāyaṇa respectively. That is what it is showing. The mid-noon sun will be high during Dakshināyaṇa and low during Uttarāyaṇa.
What do you mean by high?
High means when you look up at the sky, high here and low there.
Okay.
Yeah. High and low means as the bend of your neck.
Okay.
No, I see these are good questions. I'll tell you what this could be. I'm making an editorial here. You got to be an observer, and we take the textbook knowledge and put it in our mind, and that confuses us. So suppose you didn't have any textbook knowledge, you're just observing. It becomes a lot easier. So one side thing is observe the sky more. And without mathematics, you can understand. Mathematics will help you predict a lot of things, very nice things, but without mathematics, you can understand the sky more intuitively. So this is roughly what we saw. There's some aspect of this made up, some aspect is real, but the idea is to get a taste of information in our, the taste of modeling of the cosmos in our texts. So we have Mahāsalilam that talks about Pṛthivī and Dhruva, and then Dvipas are in, they are also in Mahāsalilam, I think. Then Meru, how the rise of the Meru and Dhruva on top of it. Then how the sun travels through the nakshatras, the 27 nakshatras. The sun creates day and night, and the sun creates has the two ayanas and it creates the two Vishvas, and the sun also creates seasons. That I didn't show there, but I'll show it later. So this kind of story is stitching up there. Pardon me? Yeah, that is my Sanskrit knowledge. It's a plural. Two equinoxes. Okay, from there we go to Stellarium now. So on Stellarium, there are three variants of Stellarium. One is the phone version. Actually, I should say four versions. The phone version itself has A and B. The phone is a free version and a paid version. Then there's Stellarium on the web. And then the Stellarium desktop. Three are there, and the desktop version is the bulkiest but the most powerful. You can do a lot more with that. But for most common purposes, the Stellarium phone is good enough, or the web is also good enough.
So desktop version you have to download, is it?
Yes, I sent the link. It's a free download. It's a light program. No, light program. It becomes huge if you download high precise ephemeris. That's like 4 GB or something, but you don't need that. Unless you're a scientist, you're tracking satellites and all, you don't need that. So it's reasonable, it's not very big. And my personal experience with Stellarium has helped me learn about the sky apart from also watching. So it basically, at the comfort of your home, you can go to different places, different planets even, and you can see the sky differently. So it sharpens your intuition a little bit. But nothing replaces direct observation. So if you haven't made time to see the sky, just make time to see the sky. There will be clouds, it'll all kind of excuses will be there, but please see the sky at your own time. So first I'll try to show Stellarium on the phone, And you have to give me a minute or two to make sure that everything is set up here. So this is my dad's phone. My phone stopped working for some reason because of demo day. Okay, this is Stellarium. So now we are in Bangalore, and this is real time. If you look at this is a west, and the sun is. If you go outside any right now, let me do this. East, north. I am trying to go to west the wrong way, I think. Here is west. So if you go out and see, you will see sun. You will track the sun. Pardon me? However you can see, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it resets. If you move, it detects your motion and resets. But figure out what works for you. So this is where if you point out, you'll see the sun. You'll also see the different planets are being marked there. So these planets you cannot see now because the sun is drowning. When the sun sets, Venus will be visible for a short duration. So you can infer from here, when the sun sets, Venus has some clearance, so it will be visible for short duration. Mercury and Mars will not be visible now, but before sunrise, they will rise earlier than sunrise. So tomorrow morning, if you are early riser and if you have the interest, you can try to see Mercury and Mars at sunrise.
Which calendar is sky culture? Which one?
Now sky culture, I'll come to that. So this is a default sky culture. So if you tap on this, so sky culture just changes the labels. It doesn't change the objects. So you tap on sky culture. There are multiple sky cultures are there. Indian Vedic is the one that will give you our nakshatras. But it will give you our nakshatras in some weird language. Here it will say the first blessed feet, which is basically Pura Bhadrapada. So you have to. These are on the phone. I could not get it to say our terminology. It gives our translated terminology, but on the desktop you can see you can tune all these parameters. Actually, it also happens. This is very interesting. If you look at it, the sun is near Bhadrapada. And we are actually near Vishuvat, equinox. So our equinox actually starts at Bhadrapada. Our means the equinox of our epoch. Whereas we say Ashwini Bharani Kritika, that Ashwini is frozen for 285 AD. So the 285 AD equinox was Ashwini. That memory still contains with us, and we still say Ashwini Bharani Kritika. So that same kind of frozenness you can see in many texts. Yeah, correct. It is precision. So we are not corrected for precision. So we are still saying that, and that's why our Uttarāyaṇa is in January 14 these days, not on December whenever it should happen. The December and January are labels. So our Uttarāyaṇa is shifted by 21 days because we are counting from Ashwini. We are treating Ashwini as equinox. Yeah. Bhadrapada. Yeah. Okay. Uttarāyaṇa, now you cannot see because sun is drowning. Wait for 3-4 months, you can see it. So here you can tap here, and if you can tap and search for it. So there, if you know the Bayer notation, you can. If you look at professor's notes, the stars are listed there. Bhadrapada will have alpha something. You type that. This is basically Pegasus or Andromeda. Near Andromeda it will be. If you use the desktop, you can type the Indian text name itself, you will find out. So this is the phone. Then you can do the same thing on the web also. I'll show it right here, or maybe I should show here. Yeah. Actually, I forgot to show that you can change locations also. If you go on the 3 lines on the top, you can go to different places, different times. All those things are possible. Now let me show you on the web how it looks. This is Stellarium Web online map. So you can change the time here. You can go up and down. I think this guy doesn't go too far. I think it goes up to 1000 or something like that, AD. But the phone one I saw, it went up to the Thuban era. It went up to Thuban era. When Thuban was a pole star, it went up to that. The phone was more capable than this in this aspect. The one nice thing here is if you do planets tonight, it'll show you what planet can be seen when or today. So this is actually quite, if you can see here, you can clearly see that Mars is
These are desktop version.
no, this is a web version. Web version. This kind of map is available on the phone if you pay. If you don't pay, you don't get this map. So you can see planet visibility for the day. And those who know how to use URLs, actually in the URL you can actually give the exact date and time, it will go there also. So you can share URLs easily. I will skip that part. But here, you can see, here there is no, sky culture is not there. So you have to use only the Western terminology. Yeah. So I go to current time. This is the sun. And I can turn off the atmosphere. So this is how it is. So this atmosphere will tell you like this. Now let's go and just play around a little bit, just change the time a little bit as we go. So we are setting the sun now, and if you look at it, sun is setting at true west because we are very close to equinox. And there is your Venus. At sunset time today, if you grab around 7 p.m. on the west side, if there is no pollution, you can catch Venus. Not only that, if you go here towards the east, you can see Jupiter. And if you see these two stars, this is a Punarvasu or Gemini. So this is so Jupiter is near Punarvasu, making a perfect like isosceles triangle. And here on the southern side, I think this conversation came yesterday. If on the southern side of the sky, this is Jupiter. This is the bright Sirius star or Mrgavyada. Take Jupiter, take Sirius, and then you draw all the way line, you will say Canopus, Agastya. So Agastya is visible now. Today you can see Agastya, if the sky allows you. Jupiter is bright, you can see it in the sky. On the southern side, you will see a very bright star Sirius. Just draw a line all the way down, the one bright star will be there, that is Canopus. So the advantage of having a polluted sky is you can't see anything else, you will see only these, because they are the brightest. So you can use it to your advantage. Otherwise, if you go to a very clear sky, you get confused what is what. You want to see Dhruva? So Dhruva is actually, like Professor said, Dhruva is an interesting aspect. Dhruva will tell you your latitude. So if you go to the north, and if you go, I don't know, this is probably Dhruva. This is Dhruva. So it will be north in Bangalore, it will be around 13 degrees above the horizon. If you go to Delhi, it will be around 28 degrees above. So if you go very north, you will see it's quite bright and quite above. And that place, if you go very north, you can see Dhruva, you can see Śiśumāra also. Any of you in the northern part of the country, Śiśumāra is it's a quite bright sky actually. The many stars are quite bright, you can see the shape very nicely. So in Bangalore, you can see Agastya better, but if you go to north, you will see Śiśumāra better. Canopus. Agastya is the name, Canopus is a label. Okay, last thing I'll show you, this almost everything is the same. If you go to the Stellarium desktop, so currently it's running 25.x. So don't install an older version, install a newer version. So if you go here, you can see on the left hand side you'll see these menus. I think somebody opened yesterday and they didn't know how to exit. Somewhere here there is an exit button or a control F4. And you can control a lot here. For example, I can see the various grid lines. This is the altitude azimuth, and here also you can change the locations, and you can change sky cultures. There are many sky cultures available here. The Indian Vedic is there, and I have my own white sky called Vedic Codex. So this, I created my sky culture with an AI, and this is only for this demo, so you won't see it there, but many of my presentation are using this. Not much difference. It is basically narrating from this Indian Vedic, which is actually written by a guy in Bangalore called Vishwas Vasuki. The other thing, here I want to show you one thing. If you can see this, let's see this. How are we on time? Okay, 35 minutes left. So here if you look at it, I don't know what time we are in, let's see. F5. So Agastya is here, it's just about, I don't know, the rising or setting, let me see. Yeah, Agastya is rising now, just go to a little bit later, okay. This is Guru, this is Mrigavyada, this is Agastya. These three you can see in a line on the western sky. And if you look at today's moon, so moon is, see this is Rohini, this V shape is Rohini. And this is Kritika. So if you go to Panchanga, you will just see, you can see what is today's nakshatra, you can actually reason with this. You can also use this to find your own nakshatra. You can, if you know your birthday, you can go to your birthday and see your nakshatra based on where the moon is. So this guy lets you do a lot of things. It can also let you script. You can also write scripts and make movies out of it. So this is Stellarium on the desktop. Now this, I think Professor also discussed this. I'm going to repeat some of this information. But this picture you see is again from Stellarium, and this is called the Precession circle. So in Stellarium you can turn the Precession circles. I'll just take a minute to show that. I think somebody asked that question. I'll very quickly show how to do that. Yeah. What did you want? So if you go here, this particular one, right, sky viewing and windows option, this is actually a rich place to do a lot of stuff. And if you go to markings, you can turn on a lot of markings. For example, precession circles. If I turn on precession circle, if I go to the north here, you can just press shift N, you can press N, E, W, uppercase, it will go to that direction. So this is a precession circle. Let me remove the ground too. If you go to the marking, in the precession circle you can go and you can choose different markings. It will tell you which year, in which year which is the pole position and if there is a star there or not. So this setting is important for you to, when you are playing with it, this screen is very important. In this screen, I think the precession circle, these controls are important for you to visualize precision in your own way, the way you want. The other thing is called, if you go to sky, there are different kind of perspectives are there. So this particular one, I think orthographic, will project the whole thing in a sphere. So you can see the celestial sphere as a sphere, and you can think of Earth as a ball inside the sphere. and you're looking it from outside. So these views also help you a lot to visualize what's happening. You want to extract me screenshot? Screenshot you can use the operating system screenshot, or if you know how to write scripts, you can go different time. You can ask it to say screenshot. If you know scripting, there's a lot of the scripting is very powerful here.
Śiśumāra, so the professor when he showed the Śiśumāra beast, right? So that was written in Stellarium 0.21. I have to quote it to 5, so I can't show it to you. Once I quote it, I'll share it with you.
But in general, all of them have this, let me see here. This particular one, there's a constellation art. Yeah, you can see, if you turn on the art, you will just see, but these are not Indic art. So there is some Indic art also. So I think somebody was here. This is what I meant. Right now, the nice software is there, but the Indicness of this is very low. So if you have some nice artist kind of skills, we can port all these things for our civilization, for our interpretation, for our motives. I want to show you one last thing here, and then we'll move on. You go to sky culture. This is something I stumbled on. IJKLM. Mongolian. See, if in Mongolian, it's Angaraka and Buddha. They use actually a lot of nakshatra names are Indic nakshatra names there also. Brihaspati. So I think there's some Buddhist influence. A lot of this Indian astronomical terminology are used in the Mongolian culture also. There may be other cultures also. You can see there will be some reflection of the Indian terminology as you go east. Persian may be there, I don't know, let me see. MNOP, I don't know what they call Persian, Iranian. Persian is not here in this.
Many of the IAU names have been derived from Persian. All these vocab, those are actually Persian. The star names that you now have, they are Persian influenced.
Yeah. Arabic influence.
Alberuni.
Arabic.
Okay.
The culture of Persian
Yeah.
really,
It's
this
One moment.
phone,
Yeah.
it takes current location.
Yeah.
You switch off the location, change the location, and then you can see.
Yes.
Um,
You can change location and time.
so,
And on Stellarium, you can go to different planets also. Desktop Stellarium, you can see there is one demonstration that shows triple sunrise of Sun for Mercury. So just, we are digressing here, but this is, okay. Alright, so now I'll just show you this particular one. This is again, this is scripted. This is the same story that we talked about. This is basically scripted on Stellarium. So what we are going to see is how the pole star shifts. I think Professor also showed it, but this is a repeat of that. So this is the pole position, not pole position. And if in 2850 BC, Thuban and that as time passes, the Thuban is shifting away from the pole position. And here is Matsya.
And this is a mouth of Matsya, and this is where our current Dhruva is, Polaris.
That pole star.
You can measure it. I see this is about 5,000 years. So 25,000 is a full circle. So 5,000 will be 1/5 of it. 1/5 of 360 is how much? 180.
No, that much gap won't be there. It may be some very
No, so
few
I think
degrees.
this is stellarium, this is true. This is as it is. So this is what the sky is. I didn't understand your question. So here this is a circle.
No, the pole has moved, right?
Pole is not moved. Pole position is fixed. For stars are moving to the pole position.
No, that's okay, but you are telling, na, before that the Thuban
Yeah,
was there.
keep shifting.
So that shift is how many degrees?
Almost 120.
No, this is, you are jumping 1,000 years here. Here, I tell you what, I think I can understand your question now. Let me restart this. Oh, I made a mistake.
What the distance? No, now it is 1 degree.
Yeah. So, okay, let me try to understand your question.
Nee, now this Polaris is at I think 89 degrees, not exactly 90.
Yeah, so 89
Now it will make a circle of small circle of 1 degree.
Yeah, but now, let me tell you, that's a bending motion. This is not a bending motion. This I'm studying for 50, 100 years. You are talking about bending motion. If you look at your day, you rotate. But over here, that rotation, the whole, you are talking the precision circle here, not the diagonal circle.
Nee, but how, I mean the movement of this pole, whatever reference point. See, now we are assuming that everything is rotating around the pole.
So here, let me put it this way. Today we are seeing, yes sir. Today we are seeing a pole position of 30 degrees in Bangalore. 5,000 years also you will see the same 30 degrees only. It is not going to change, but the star there will change. That you understood, right? The pole position is fixed. What comes there will keep changing.
Nee, that's okay. Now pole position is there. The 1 degree difference is there where.
I don't understand 1 degree business. I don't.
If you see the latitude and longitude, no? So there it will come. They give some tour, 1 or 2 hours for. Latitude is coming as 89.
That's okay. The 89 and 90 doesn't matter. They are very close to each other. Yeah.
Close to each other.
Yeah.
So now the rotation. Actually, Earth's rotation is with respect to axis only, but celestial that reference only we are looking.
You're talking to the rotation of the body. There are 2 things. Rotation is once every 24 hours. Body is once every 26 hours.
I am coming to that. Now this rotation.
Which rotation?
Your diurnal rotation.
Daily rotation.
Okay, that is you are taking that pole star as the pole. It is geographically from the thing around 1 degree away from the away from 90 degrees. Okay, there you are taking. Now what I am telling is today it is there. When it is moving, it goes to some other constant.
Let me ask you a question. Are you going 1 day away or are you going 1,000 years away?
I am coming to that. See, now it is at 1 point.
No, but I need you to formulate the question properly, right?
I mean, the way I understand only I can explain.
Yeah.
See, what I understand is that the small difference, whatever is there, between the real pole, geographic pole, and the celestial pole, whatever is now there.
No, sir.
Same
we
thing.
are not talking geographic and celestial at all. Geography, this is only celestial pole.
Okay,
Geographic pole is a confusing thing. That is what they call. That is not relevant to this conversation.
Okay. Now it is making a cone.
Okay, now I'll ask you a question.
The cone will have a center.
No. The cone center is immaterial here.
Once again, it has a meaning. Because if that this thing is inclined and it is traversing one circle, the big cone, in that cone if you are having the pole star, if it moves, some other star will come. It will move, some other star will come. That is possible.
1 degree in 72 years.
Okay, but 1 degree 72 years. Yeah. But still we are assuming for last so many thousands of years, but we are assuming only that Dhruva, that same pole star, no?
Just move, no.
So every 72 years there is some change. So that means that it is within that cone circle, whatever that is making, it is within the circle. So within the circle now, what is the center of the circle? How much? With respect to that only we can see what is coming on that circumference of that circle.
Can we take it offline? I think your questions can be well posed, more well posed if we discuss later. I don't know if others are. I don't understand your question. As I told you now, the center of the circle is not, center of the cone is not very material. The circumference of the circle is important for you. The center is immaterial.
Okay, then what is the rate at which?
The rate is a good question. The rate is 26,000 years. The current pole star will become the pole star again in 26,000 years.
See, that 72 years you take. After 72 years, that's yeah, little bit difference.
So the number 72 comes because if you take 72 years for 1 degree, you will get 26,000 years in 360 degrees. So the way they want to simplify your understand is, current pole star will become the pole star again in 26,000 years. That you internalize it. 5,000 years before, Thuban was the pole star. Yeah, like that. If you, these are the important factors. The other factors are clouding your understanding. They are not material. And I mean, I understand your confusion. I was there, but you got to, if you drown yourself in it, you will get it. I'm happy to spend time afterwards. Yes.
Precession influences that position of the star, like polar star. Like we have also know about some galactic years, intergalactic years. That also sometimes influence the stars' position.
Maybe I am not studied and I am not connected to the things. The intergalactic cosmology, I don't know enough of it. I don't know enough. Maybe Ram is there. Ram, he knows a lot.
What is the other star that is there in that precision circle?
Actually, you have touched on a very beautiful point. Between Thuban and this arc has no stars. If you look at the Thuban and there, in the dark there is no visible bright star.
Correct. After that also I don't see.
After that there will come. There are other stars that will come.
There is one thing, Hercules.
Yeah, so the other side will come. There is no, I think that is like prehistoric. I think human civilization was not very established.
So there could be potentially a timeline where there won't be any stars.
Most of our life, we are the lucky ones to see a star there.
Yeah.
Most of humanity didn't see anything there.
See, actually, to use other wild thinking, between this Thuban and this current Polaris, the maximum human development has actually. Maybe when we move out of this Polaris, there's a destruction of Polaris.
Okay. Yes, sir.
To draw a line, say here diameter from the center.
Center of what?
Center of earth. Center of earth and extrapolate. Draw another line, join the circumference of whatever you told. That say polar is there. You draw a line, extend it. Between that, the angle will it be 23.5 degrees. It should be that only.
That is the axis.
Yeah.
Angle of axis.
Yeah. Then your radius, what I was telling is, it should be that 23.5.
This
That
one.
entire
That's a good argument. I think you are right. This is actual thing probably. This is actual thing. That's a good
So
point.
within that circle of radius of 23.5, you will be getting the other
Yes. Correct.
Now this ABCE is at 37. 37 from equator.
Abhijit is somewhere here if you look at it.
Yeah, the Vegas.
Yeah.
But no point of time that can be in the circle. 23.5.
I think what is just outside the circle, but close enough to be confused to a pole star for that epoch. That it will be at least 10 degrees away from the pole position. It won't be on the top.
Because it's at 37 from here,
Correct.
that will be 40, 53 from that side, from the pole.
23, 37, the 40 degrees that will be there.
There is one more, just to add to that one, there is also one more thing, sir. There is also an obliquity that we need to take into consideration. The tilt of the earth will not remain constant for an epoch kind of. There is going to be a variation in that tilt.
Yeah, but there is only one degree, no?
Yeah,
24.5 or
That
22.5.
that acts as an expansion.
There is only a 1 degree difference will be.
Yeah, that's what you do. So the point that taking Vega to be a pole star is a stretch actually. It will be outside the pole position. That's correct.
One question.
Yeah.
Professor sir was talking about the one of the videos he showed that Dhruva was in the tail of the this thing, and then it moved to the mouth of the
Yeah.
Matsya, this thing.
That is shown here. Yeah, I'll show you that. Yeah.
So how many years it would have taken to go from?
I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can magnify this.
How many years in years terms?
Degrees you have to multiply by 72, then you will get years.
No, but how many years?
That he will show. That.
26,000 years.
No, that is the full cycle. 26,000 full cycle.
So here it's okay. Let me go further.
Here is 1, 2, 3, 90 years.
This one. So this is the mouth of the fish. This is the mouth of the fish. The giant pole star.
This which year?
And this is the tail of the dragon. The tail of the Śiśumāra.
No, understood. No.
So his question was
That
that
degrees,
was in center.
that arc degrees.
So this difference is 5,000 years.
Sorry,
Okay. That is in terms of the delta of the years.
Yeah.
In absolute years, which is that year this year?
There's 2850 and 2000. Like in the 2850 and 2000.
1800 years.
Oh, 2850.
BC, 28 BC and 2000 common era.
Okay, so that delta.
That will-
5,000 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Your question?
So where is that? Was professor was telling that Nag, that place of the Nag, that's where the
You know Śiśumāra.
So now it's a
Milky Way.
Then you will get something.
So I can take a passage if I go there, I will cross because I have to go too many seconds. So we can go often. So I'll tell you one thing, right? I'm not trying to push back work, but if you have a laptop, install it and play with it. The first few hours will be frustrating. You won't even know how to exit. But after that you will see aha moment, then you'll enjoy it.
The Meru visible in that in any way?
Yes, sir. This one I recorded it, pre-recorded it.
No?
You can change the light and show Milky Way
Yeah,
along with these things.
sure.
That's all. That's the pattern of the reverse code that you put.
So, are you already online? 10 minutes?
20 minutes.
No, yes, not the planetary motion. Okay, this is here we are talking about daily motion. Now we saw the sun's kind of, not the sun, the precession mode, 26,000 year circle where the pole star changes. Now we switch motion from that to the sun's daily and annual motion. So three motions actually: the daily motion, the annual motion, and the precession motion. The precession motion is 26,000 years, we cannot experience it. And therefore, it's actually a source of confusion for all of us to experience first. The daily and hour motion, some of us are smart enough to experience it, but some of us will be too young to not have enough years, but you can still get a sense of how the seasons change. So this is the annual, I'm going to show the annual sunrises or annual sequence of sunrises for 1800 BCE and now. Two other epochs I'm going to see. As the sun actually will dance around this zone, extreme south to extreme north. And this sky is actually the nakshatra band. These are the actual nakshatras, this is the nakshatra band. They are slightly different, but they are the same. So we started in English, the sun just crossed the spring equinox. And the moment it hits here, the maximum declination, that will be your Dakshinayana star. These are summer solstice. If you look at Dakshinayana star these days, we are somewhere near, in 1800 they are Magha. 1800, Magha Nakshatra was there. So Magha, the professor also touched upon it. So this is actually kind of a soft variation of the Magadhi that is in Maitrāyaṇī and Brahmana Purāṇa.
See this animation.
Yeah.
Yes, it will be really.
Years are added here. This 1 year added. This 1 year.
It's 1 year I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying that 5,000 years will be.
There is one animation that will come there also, but this is slightly different. But if I put this, so this 2000, now just look at it when it goes to Uttarāyaṇa, what star you see. Actually more than that you see right now, here pure east, here Uttānapāda, Purāṇic. So this is, if you look at your calendar now, you just see, this is our equinoctial star. In spring equinox, now it goes here, we saw there it was Magha. Now it comes right, goes there. Ardra. So this is also precision. This is the sunrise also. The sunrise of Uttarāyaṇa and Dakshina is also affected by precession. Yeah, slightly. Yeah, Ardra is Orion or Gemini, depending on which scholar you talk to. Yeah. Ardra is. A lot of people say Betelgeuse, but we have taken Gemini. Yeah. Jupiter will go through all of them, right? Jupiter is a planet. Right now he is near Gemini. Right now he is in Gemini. Right now, but he will keep moving. So this is a daily sunrise, and this is what I think somebody asked this question. This is the same view of the noon. This is the same view of the noon. That is, instead of taking sunrise, let's see how the noon sun is over the year. In 1800, see at Uttarāyaṇa begins, the sun is lowermost. This is a sky dome. As Dakshinayana begins, he will be the topmost. So this language is used quite often, high and low, up and down. So we have to carefully interpret that. If you interpret it wrongly, we will get wrong conclusions. This is what they meant, is our best interpretation now. Yeah, high and low. The meridian, sun meridian. So this is high and low. That is how the noon sun is, how high or how low the noon sun is, depending on the season. And this actually, if we pay attention, we can experience this in Bangalore itself. The meridian is prime meridian. This is what I mean by when I say meridian. All I want to say is the line that connects the south to north, the arc. When the sun crosses that, we call that a meridian in the sky. You think of it as a mid sky. The mid sky need not be overhead. It could be anywhere in the hemisphere. No, every day it will reach. Every day the moon crosses. AM and PM is what? When we say in AM and PM, ante-meridian and post-meridian, or pre-meridian, or post-meridian, I think. Meridian is the midpoint in the sky. That's all. Take it as noon sun. If the meridian word is confusing, take it as noon sun. Every day noon happens.
When the noon happens, where is the sun? That how high is the sun in the sky? Yeah. If you look at our national calendar, I think we don't use Ujjain as our meridian anymore. We still, our time is still measured with respect to GMT. GMT plus 5 hours 30 minutes. It happens to be near Ujjain, but we did not accept a standard. It's traditional standard, but not modern standard.
Ujjain only the Śaṅkara also.
Yeah. So this is the nakshatras. So somebody asked a question as to what. So if you say Bhavishta, you can see these are the names of the Beta Delphini or Beta Aquarii, depending on whom you talk to. Ardra, if you look at Ardra, Lambda Gemini or Gamma Gemini. Some people also use Alpha Orion. So if you know the name of the nakshatra and your software doesn't know, you can actually punch these names. It will locate it for you. 6. Magha is very important. It has 6 stars and the 6 fit exactly in one sector. Professor's paper has that it's in your book. I think the second paper, Equinoctial Full Moon, is discussed Magha very well. And Magha is an important nakshatra. It's important for us. So 27 nakshatras there. If we include Abhijit, it's 28. There are totally 83 stars. Plus 3 stars, 86. These numbers will be here and there depending on which scholar you talk to. And then stars, nakshatra is, there are two things. Nakshatra is both the zone in the sky as well as visible nakshatra. What you see physically. Like Kritika, for example. Kritika is a nakshatra like 6-7 nakshatras tightly packed in one place. It is also 13 degree 20 minute section in the sky. So depending on the context, you have to read it carefully. Then for the moon, some traditions have variable, nakshatras are not equal. There are bigger and small. Abhijit happens to be the smallest nakshatra in the Buddhist and Jaina traditions. And they have a reason for that. So and those reasons I can't express it clearly, but they have very good reasons to keep this 20th nakshatra. But the Vedic tradition doesn't use this. Which Abhijit?
No. That is the 12 o'clock exact. No.
It is actually Mahābhārata. There is not more value. And maybe there is a relationship, but they are similar value, but the meanings are different. That is Muhurta, this is Nakshatra.
That is meridian.
Okay, now I just do this will be like a 6-minute run or 3-minute run, and if there are two things, how many of you know the nakshatras? How many of you don't know the nakshatra? So if you don't know the nakshatra, if you know the birthday, the birth calculation, you can easily find out.
I have one question.
Sure.
It's a little bit tangential question.
Sure.
We are talking completely from an astronomy angle.
Correct.
Astrology also uses very similar terminologies.
Correct.
Is there a tight linkage or it is just a reuse of terminology between astrology and astronomy?
I am not qualified to answer the question. I don't know enough of astrology to say that, but there is another. I think the distinction is a modern distinction. Earlier, I think they were combined into one discipline.
Combined astrology is more Phalita Jyotisham designed for prediction, and the science of prediction has rules that I don't easily comprehend.
No, the rules apart. When we say that
but I think
there also the sun moves
no,
through
so
the...
I think a good question, right? So most astrologer must know this basic astronomy. They cannot operate without knowing this astronomy.
And it's the same rules to the extent of the planets and the stars,
They,
and the motion and all of that.
they'll have, but some of them will be frozen in time. They'll use ancient conventions. They won't use the modern conventions. So precision they won't account for and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think at some level there is a large overlap.
They are supposed to observe, but they are not observing.
I don't want to comment. I don't know enough actually. I want to study astrology, but I have not studied yet. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So actually there is a calendar report, calendar reform committee report. I'll show you, it's there on our website. If you have time, you should read that. It's a very well written document. It basically explains the science. It also explains all the traditions. It also clearly shows where the conflicts are and why it doesn't want to resolve it. Because it's a very complicated melting pot there. So you just say tradition be tradition, science be science. We don't want to reconcile forcefully. But that report that you talked about, Sahal-Nari report, for Indian Calendar Reform Committee report, anybody, any astronomy student should read that once. So I think there are. It is possible to? Yeah.
Very possible. And you see in Stellarium also. Very easy.
So,
Saptarishi was a pole star? Any one of the seven? Because it is coming within that range, something around 52 degrees.
Precession circle.
So we can actually simulate the
Degrees
data.
or something. Na?
You can simulate, you can check. To my knowledge, Saptarishi is quite outside the band of the precision circle.
It should be in the precision circle.
But Saptarishi is used to rotate the pole star these days. If you take the last two stars and you connect the line, you use Saptarishi. So it's, if you can't see the pole star, you can use Saptarishi as a navigator to do that.
It spans around many latitudes.
Yes.
Actually. So I think from some 40 to 63 or something like that.
You know more. I know visually I know, but I don't know the numbers. It's a big one.
So if we can raise the time period of 4,000 to 6,000 BC.
I didn't understand your question.
How far back can we go in Stellarium?
Stellarium, very good question. So for the stars, you can go 10,000, 15,000 years. For the sun and the moon,
for the sun you can go up to minus 2000, especially for sun eclipses and all. For the moon you can go up to minus 3000 confidently. Beyond that, if you go, it will show something, but it may not necessarily be true. Because especially if you're looking for eclipses, the delta T comes into picture, and sun is very sensitive. So solar eclipse become very sensitive because the shadow of the moon is very narrow on the earth. So, and then the 69-degree errors come over 2000 years and it becomes meaningless after that. So Stellarium goes far behind, but for you to trust the number, I would say stop at 3000. Beyond that, you can just, for fun, you can do it. Yeah. I just want to show this, and this is like a I wanted to actually check if there is any nakshatra that is an orphan here. It won't be. There are 40 of us and 27 nakshatras. I think all of us, most of us will cover. But I'll just speed it up. We'll see a few and then I'll just speed it up. Okay. So this is the sky. This is a nakshatra in the ecliptic, and this is a visible nakshatra. Ashwini is a 3-star visible nakshatra. It's like a horse head shape. And then this is Bharani. And if you look at it, this is the Bharani zone. This Kritika, and Kritika is actually contained in its zone itself. I'll stop at this. Just see this. Okay, this is interesting. I'll just. If you look at this, this is what. So this is a visible nakshatra. This is Shakata shape. This is like a card. This is a Vedic card which is triangular in shape. And this actually is quite nice. You can see in the sky, and in this I think is the bright orange star, Alpha. This one or this one? I'm confused now. But this zone is a virtual zone. This is not a real zone. This is a mathematical zone. This zone is a Rohini. This is also called Rohini. This is also called Rohini. So depending on the context, it's either visible nakshatra or the sector. So the term nakshatra is used for both, and I've repeated that 10 times, so forgive me for that. Yeah.
Morning about Chandra remaining with Rohini a long time or so. Actually, it is Prajapati who stayed with Rohini, but at that time, Rohini was single. Rohini was a single star. So in the Vedas, Rohini is a single star. He is showing a Rohini which is made of 5 stars. So that was the transition time. When Prajapati and Chandra got the Shapa, you remember that story, it comes in the Mahāsalilam in a slightly different way, but it is the same thing. So, Rikshani Nakshatram Bhavati is what the Mahāsalila says. That is what Chandra understood. Chandra is Soma as well as Chandra, the Bimba, as well as Prajapati. It is a mono-acting which is there. So if you see in that perspective, the Vedic single stars, which are perhaps at unequal distances. There was one slide he mentioned where in some cultures moon has unequal position. That comes in the Jaina system actually. That may be unequal stars and all that. But when the equal system came up, dividing the whole ecliptic into equal 27 sections, that is what he was mentioning. Nakshatras are also the sectors, as well as the stars which are there inside. So it is the group which became a nakshatra, and the same region is also called by the same nakshatra. Like, some of the states being called by the capital name. Capital itself becomes the name of the country also sometimes. That sense you have to take it.
So this will go on for 3 minutes, even at double speed. So I'll stop at some point. Ardra, I don't know how many of you know the sequence. Punarasu, Pushya. Ashlesha is like a sarpa shape, it will come. Pushya is like one star or the beehive. You saw the beehive cluster there. This Ashlesha is like a snake. Devata is also a snake. Ashlesha is actually, it spills into Maga also. It's a very big problem. This is Maga, like a Koshtagara, like a room. That's Maga. Falguni is like a, this is actually 4 of them, Paryanka, they someone. So this, if you look at it, different traditions have different names, different shapes. Hassa is like a hand. Chitra is Ekatara. Chitra is also quite, Chitra Paksha is also used, for Ayanamsha. This Swati. Swati is one of the outlier stars. Devata is Vayu, it is quite far away from the ecliptic. Vishaka is 2, Vishakhe, there are 2 of them. Anuradha is the head of the scorpion. If you get to see this is a very beautiful form. And Jeshta, I think through telescope it looks beautiful. There's a nursery there, star nursery. Close to each other, one after the other. Yeah. Mula is of course where the center of our galaxy is, and so on and so forth. Then I'll keep repeating this. Actually here, somewhere here, we'll just see the ecliptic now, I think. Ashara is the rainy season. Shravana. Then Dhanishta, Shavishta, Dhanishta, there is a lot of historical information happening there. This is Shatabhishak. And this is Pura Bhadrapada and Uttara Bhadrapada. I think you'll see the ecliptic line now, just if I think I put it there. Let's see. Oops. Okay, I just want to stop this, show this and stop. So this, I don't know if you can see, there's an equator line coming here, dim line, and this is the ecliptic line. So this is where, this is Daksha Aditi. This point is, this is Daksha, and this is Aditi. So that's why they are born of each other. And this point is an equinoctial point. This is a March equinoctial point. This is where we were 3-4 days ago. The sun was here. Even though the sun is in this zone, but it was exactly on this point on March 21st. So this is the equinoctial point. This is the zone where the sun is. This is a nakshatra. And this is the equator. This is the ecliptic. This point is where the yeah, equinoctial point, New Year starts for many people at this time. Okay. And this is again just a visualization of those. Rohini has this shape, Ashlesh has a snake shape, Magha has a Koshtagara shape. Arundhati, yeah, that is in the Saptarishi, so it's a good question. So these nakshatras are where the sun and the moon goes. The sun and the moon has a particular path in the sky. So the stars around that are called nakshatras. Arundhati is away from that, so it's a northern star, like even your pole star is there, Agastya is there. These are all not nakshatras. Although some people use the term nakshatras for that, they are not nakshatras. They are other stars and other constellations. But Arundhati I am not showing here. If we can show it, maybe if you want we can take it offline. Arundhati I am not showing here. Just see this precision movie and stop with this, I think. Yeah, this one, yeah, is another visualization of how the seasonal drift happens. So this I'll stop and show. Let it go. Yeah. So this is our current epoch. This is another way of visualizing. Epoch means age. Instead of saying year, epoch means like a band of years. Think of it like that. I don't want to say year, but I want to say band of years here. So this, if you look at this, when the sun is here, you have Uttarayanam. The sun goes like this, and then this is this is the path of the sun. As the sun travels, he creates all these ritus, and the ritus have tight association with the nakshatras. But this association is not fixed. This association keeps changing. So if a text says that Uttarāyaṇa happened in some other like Ashada or Shravana, we know which epoch it is in. If the text says Dakshināyana happens in Magha, we know which epoch it is in. So this is also like a big clock. And so in 2000, these are the 4 markers, and these just take Uttarāyaṇa start or Dakshināyana start we will take. Dakshināyana start is between Ardra and Mrgashira. That's what we saw even recently. Now we just start the clock and we go back in time. See, as you go back in time, you just see the star keeps changing here. This is an Aryabhata time, it was Punarvasu. It was also Ashwini Revati there in the spring. The Aryabhata, Mahavira, Ritusubhava. Ritusubhava is 500 BC, Lagada 1300 BC, Ashlesha is here, Ashlesha Ardha. Parashatratam, Ashlesha Ardha. Aditya Chara also here. These are actually datable through their text. Pardon me? Magha, I think it ran off quickly, it went off. I'll go back to Magha. This one. Oh, stop. Don't go. I want you to stop at Magha. Stop. Yeah. So, not Magha, it went off. Sorry. Yeah. Here you go, Brahmanda Purana. Magha start and Shavishta middle. Dakshināyanam. So, if a text indicates a nakshatra and a season, we can actually date it. And that technique we use it quite often.
Similarly, you can see Uttarāyaṇa starts with the Śiśumāra. So where does the equinox come, you can see? It is not the beginning of the Ritu, it is the center of it. So center of the Vasanta Ritu is spring equinox. Center of calendars, because there is a little sun, it very simply happens. But the Rutu names which are attributed, they don't, because they have to match with the ayanas. The sun, not with the moon. That is the problem.
And these changes also
And Pravesh Vyas has also.
I wanted to know that Surya Siddhartha says that it is a pendulum. To 27 degrees it will go and then come back.
The sun is, as he showed, because of the rotation, it goes on like that. It cannot be anything different. The seasons happen because of sun, obliquity and sun. The annual thing I am talking, not of the pendulum of what the Siddhantic astronomers talk of the Ayana points. It is not the Ayana points. It is the Rutu. It is the felt Rutu. So in the ancient time, what was there is what we mentioned, the Gavamayana, and again in the Purāṇas. But that seems to have changed. The names have changed.
So this is the analytical method. From the text, we find out, nakshatra season boundaries. This is a very gross generalization. First, you have to identify a text. This itself is the toughest job. What text has what information? So, and this is where actually the gold mine of information is yet to be tapped. Fortunately, we have a professor who knows many places where we can do work. So once we get the text, the rest is slightly algorithmic. But locating the text is a big problem. Once you know the text and you have a sun's information with the season, then you actually travel through the epoch and find out where the fit is best. That is, if you define an error measure, you try to minimize the error to find the best fit. So this technique we use over and over again to date texts. And this technique is used in all these three cases in slightly various forms. Here too, very strictly, here slightly different but effectively the same. And this is the Brahmanda Purana dating in this window. This I'll talk again tomorrow. This is the Adityachara, where we said Adityachara epoch is around 1300. This zone. So here, if you look at it, you try to, because we don't know whether we are choosing the stars properly or not, you take multiple candidates and try to find out the minimum error everywhere. This plot may be even better. So for many, like in step of 50 years, for a big span of time, you find out which nakshatra is fitting with which season, and the band where the maximum fit happens is the likely window. It's all mathematical, but intuitively all you're trying to say is try to find the best fit for the nakshatra and the season. Yeah. Yeah, same thing. This also professor will cover tomorrow. Similar technique here. And this is something I think we touched upon recently. There are between Abhijit, there is a illusion of Abhijit. At some point Abhijit went away and we went into equal star regime. Equal stars being equal in size as opposed to unequal in size. And so that is Abhijit was elided to equalize seasons at 4.5 nakshatras each. And Abhijit is also off by ecliptic by 10 degrees. It's quite far off actually. So the Shravana inherited the Akila slot, and then Dhanishta moved to the Shavishta slot. So this kind of shift happened. That is, we can distinctly see texts where before this and after this there is this kind of shift happens. Even though this area is very confusing. Shravana, Dhanishta, Abhijit, Satabhishak, all these areas there is some grayness into that, and the text is also grey. So, and there is many papers, including professors' papers that discuss this. There are also Abhyankar's papers that discuss misidentified nakshatras. So, the point I want to make is nakshatras are firm but also kind of elusive. So, you got to be careful when you interpret them. No. This is more like a mathematical convention. So to equalize, suppose.
Then you will understand. tomorrow I will touch upon this story which is there, but he is not talking about the stories. He is very there.
So this is, so tomorrow we'll cover few things. We'll cover the Mahābhārata chapter in more detail and some moon focused examples. Then AstroPy support. Today we talked about Stellarium. There is another tool called AstroPy which is non-visual but analytical. So you can code.
Tomorrow also you are going.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm telling what I covered tomorrow. Then eclipses, maybe already covered, and some visual research. So tomorrow we'll cover these points. So today's session is done. Thank you.
Any questions?
Sir, Iyengar sir. Sir, you said the Rutu Chakra and the 6 Rutus that we take, do we all, it is like same for North India and South India, or that South India has the Pravrita Rutus instead? There are 6 Rutus, and there somewhere I read that in South India we don't have Shishira Rutu, but we have Pravrita Rutu. Pravrita.
At least don't you felt that is what people feel. Someone this and that. So based on it, there can be differences. But this is an astronomical calculation, astronomically fixed, because you need standardize it for a long time. You can't say because I'm in Himalayas, I'm having a different Rutu because I'm in Kanyakumari. Temperatures may be different, climate may be different. But the annual thing, we need a specific thing. So today, in the Western calendar, there are only 4 seasons. They match with the equinox or the solstice. Same way we had 6 instead of the 4, that's all. But in the very early thing, there are only 2. That is in the Maitrāyaṇī thing, only the Dakshināyana and the Uttarāyaṇa. They match with the divisions of the year. The Chaturmasya came up later, but there were 4, but the 3 kind of given. Later on it was 6. 6 is standard. It has to be in the position of the sun. In modern days, it will be with the longitude of the sun. So 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 270 degrees. The earliest thing it was Dakshināyana, they had to be physically seen fixed. And that they called Varsha Rutu because rain starts somewhere around that. When the nakshatras were not yet fixed for the ayanas. But once the nakshatras came, as he showed, the Rutu was made into fold of nakshatra. So that is the actual development of the zodiac.
What is the significance of Ratha Saptami? Because initially I had a confusion when is Uttarāyaṇa starting? Is it on Jan 14th?
Once upon a time it started.
No, Uttarāyaṇa starts on Jan 14th is Uttarāyaṇa, but yesterday I came to know it is December 20th.
So what is your definition of Uttarāyaṇa? Explain the word.
The sun moves northwards.
What?
Sun rays are vertical or sun moves northwards.
Yes, wrong. So if you have wrong ideas of the word, you will get wrong results also when you explain. You can't. What is Uttara? What is Ayana? What is Dakshina? What is Ayana? And for whom? Ayana is what? Movement. For whom? Sun. From where? It's not a joke. You can understand. From where? Negative. You have to see. Don't talk about the theoretical things. You have to physically see the sun. In the northernmost point, when you see, it starts going to the south. So that is the Dakshināyana. Dakshinam Prati Ayanam. That is towards the south direction. That is the Dakshināyana point, and that is the Dakshināyana day. If you can exactly calculate it, that is the Dakshināyana Punyakala within that year. Same thing for the Uttarāyaṇa. Sun rises in the extreme south. South is not the exact cardinal Thuban. I look at the east and at the extreme south, which he showed in one of his diagrams. From there, the Uttarāyaṇa starts. Uttarāyaṇa is Uttarāyaṇa, going towards north. These are the two divisions for sun virgin, roughly for 6 months each in a year. So don't worry about other activities. Please go ahead. This is your session.
I will answer your question. So the Uttarāyaṇa, Professor's answer is perfect. I will give you answer lazy to understand. The current Uttarāyaṇa we observe is a primary of 2000-year-old Uttarāyaṇa. So basically, our Uttarāyaṇa should start in December 21st, what we call December 21st. But because the January 14 date is where the sun was 2000 years ago when Uttarāyaṇa started. So we have that memory. So you can think of it as a snapshot of time. It's an history book we are reading. It's not current. It's okay. The tradition we can keep. In the modern Panch, there are many Panchangas that are corrected now. They give both Uttarāyaṇa. There is a traditional Uttarāyaṇa and actual Uttarāyaṇa.
Probably Ratha Saptami was even before that.
Possible. But Saptami is Saptami.
Question was more serious. It was Saptami. Saptami is like Tithi. So whereas we are talking about we have to be conscious about that. Anyway.
What we are celebrating these days is a Makar Sankranti, when entering in Makar.
It's a Makar Rashi. That's a Makar Sankranti. But that is not the actual physically visible Drik Aikya of Uttarāyaṇa.
Yes. But that actually in Makar Rashi.
Correct, you're right.
You define a Rashi and it is there. I mean, there is no question on that. But recall that
But this is also changing in 75 years.
Sorry?
The date. Makar Sankranti date is changing
by
1 day. In every 75 years.
Makar Sankranti
Date
By a day.
is changing.
By a day, by
14 January now, 15 January, then 16 January.
That may happen.
Because when Vivekananda born on 12
that is
January, when that was Makar Sankranti.
No, that is with reference to the civil calendar. That is, which was not existent 1500 years ago. The January 14th was not there. Third century. So it was, Makar Rashi is correct. There is absolutely no question because you get all the right answers. In astronomy, not in astrology, but in astrology, you get right answer. No problem. That is exact. It is only a shifting of the origin, easy like that. So shifting of the origin is always permitted, so that you know how much you have to add. Attach more importance to that, then